to talk about Django. Django is a Python web framework, so currently in use, very popular one among the society, among the communities. So I'll just go to the introduction. So Django is a free and open source web application framework written in Python. So this follows the model view template architecture pattern. I will explain it later. It is maintained by currently Django Software Foundation and as an independent organization. So Django it encourages rapid development and clean and pragmatic design. So when we go, if you can go to the website, the title of the website is the a framework for perfectionists with deadlines. So using Django, we can build a very clean software with the minimum amount of time spending. So this is named after famous guitarist, it's a German one, Django Reinhardt. So developed by these two people. So created in 2003. Now the current version is 3.11. So this is the ranking of the modern day famous frameworks. So here you can see Django is in the 7th place, but if you get rid of the front-end frameworks, if you only consider the full stack frameworks like .NET MVC, Ruby Rails, so Django holds the top 3 currently. So Django built in with the ORM tool and follows the MVT architecture, not MVC, MVT. So focusing on automating as much as possible, and it is force us to use dry principles. Do not repeat yourself. Use existing implementations as much as possible to minimize the time spending on the project. So we have multiple templating systems as well. We can choose them as we like, the convenient of the systems. We can consider them. So out of the box considerable admin interfaces. So I will explain this also during my demo. Building lightweight web server with real-time reloading and flash reload, elegant URL designs. So all the middleware support, authentication, authorization built-in. So all the localization, internalization, they support as well. Caching, caching frameworks with almost every caching mechanism available. So fast and the most convenient thing is the this Django has very great documentation, so, and the community. So documentation is very great, very clear and very expressive. One of the great documentation of the framework of a framework. So to getting started, Django need Python 3 and pip 3 for installing Python packages required, and usually every Python packages or projects usually recommend to use this virtual environment. This virtual environment allow us to isolate the development environment, like so we can minimize those dependencies, dependency issues between projects using this virtual environments. So these are the commands for the Linux, Ubuntu. So if you use Windows, you can just download the exe file and install these two. All the dependency prerequisites are getting installed. So no need further configurations on Windows. So no need to explain more. I will move to the demo. So You guys can see the screen, right?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So first of all, I will at the beginning I will create a so let me explain I'm using here. You might get confused. I'm using here WSL. WSL means Windows Subsystem for Linux. So it allows use a virtual machine to uh, do our development. So I'm in the Windows, but I'm doing the development on the actually in the Linux environment. So I'm going to use all the commands here are belong to Linux. So, so first I will create the virtual environment. So to do that, so I have to give a name for the environment. I will go with the
Kasun,
yeah.
Kasun, I think it's better to press Control plus and like zoom in one level. If
Ah,
the video quality drops, the text might get blurred.
but now,
Yeah, that's good.
so I have created the virtual environment. So I need to activate this virtual environment. To do that, first, yeah, to do that, I will. So you can see the name of the virtual environment. It means you are in the virtual environment. So I activated the virtual environment. So next is creating the so we have to install the Django first. Uh, so I'm already installed that. So but, I'm not going to install it again. So no, I need to install it. So, so it will take a couple of seconds. So anyone has any questions so far? No.
Kasun, what is it doing? Is it like npm install of Python?
Yeah, it's like that. Uh, so it is downloading the package. pip is like npm or NuGet
Mhm.
for the Python.
I think probably you should have installed it before the demo, it
Yeah,
seems.
yeah, it didn't take much
Okay, yeah,
time
it came
before.
back.
So
So this is like you downloaded that. It's like I think it's almost equal to downloading the Angular CLI first and creating an Angular project. Is it like that where you
yeah,
download that
yeah,
Django
yeah.
package?
Django has that command line utility
Hmm.
tool like the Angular.
Okay, okay, okay. Cool.
So I'm going to so I already installed Django. So after that you might want to check whether this is installed correctly. So to do that, just go to Python shell, import, just type Django. So you can so if it show like this, so we can show that Django has been installed successfully. Then I'm going to create the Django project. So to do that, Django has tool called Django admin. So online tool. So I'll name project as scan. Okay. So okay, let me change the folder. So this is the folder structure. Sorry guys, I'm on the wrong folder. So this is the this is the folder structure. So I will first explain this initial files that have been created. So manage.py is it's a command line utility to the which help you to interact with this project. So it contains different commands to run your migrations and like that. You have to use this manage tool. So it will create this folder called camp. Use this same as the project name. So init this is an empty file init.py. So what it indicate that this directory, this folder should consider as a Python package. So we can call these functions inside this like camp dot settings. Likewise we can call them. And so this settings file is like a startup file in the .NET projects. So it has all the database configurations, all the middlewares, template engines, uh, and everything goes here, all the settings. So URL file is the place where we define the URLs. So mapping URLs. So also this WS WSGI file, it's called web server gateway interface. So this file act as an entry point for the web servers who compatible with the WSGI. WSGI is it's an interface. It defines how the web server should forward the request to frameworks of applications written in Python. It defines that. So these are act as an entry point to that. So ASGI is a asynchronous version of the WSGI. It's like a successor for that WSGI. Okay. Let me start the developing. So, so to do that, we can just type Python. In here, we can use the those managed Python file. It is a command line utility. Okay. Sorry guys, I need to activate the virtual environment. Okay, so usually when we create a project at the beginning, it has some apps already installed. I will explain the app, what is the app is later. So these apps have separate migration to each other, each. So that's why we need to run this command if you are working with these apps. So this is the initial uh, page, just it's just like the Angular projects. So yeah, okay. So main feature, one of the main feature in the this Django is the thing called apps. So it's like this. So when we take whatever projects or application we are developing, we can separate the independent functionality into apps. Like let's see, you have authentication, we can put as app as a one app. Like if you have any administrative functionalities, administrative interfaces, we can separate them as the another app. So so beauty of this approach is these apps are independent. These each app has its own migrations. So we can, these apps are pluggable also. We can just, after developing, we can publish them. So we can use already existing apps also. That's why the this framework follow the right principles. Don't repeat yourselves. There are plenty of apps already available. So we one of the reason we can do fast development in this Django, we can use already existing apps to our development. So we can customize them and do the development fast. Uh, so I will create an app. Okay. So create app. we have to type Python. So I will give them as a name directory. So if you refresh this, you can see here this called Django app. This folder. So each app contains its own migrations and its own models, own views, own tests. So these are independent ones. So when we are developing, we have to smart enough to decide what to put into app, but how do we modularize this app. Okay. So I will show you how we write the first view. So this is the view files. So this so here we need to first import the response object, and then just index function. So I'm going to, so you might get confused, right? So usually views are based on the HTML, like a template, the tracer syntax like that. But here the framework use MVT. Actually, this is a difference in the naming. So this is actually controller. So MVT, there is no controller. So it's a naming convention. Uh, Actually, we use just the controller function. Actually, Django view equals the controller, like that. It's understood, right? Mm, yeah.
It's like a view contains the controller logic.
Yeah. This is the just the naming. This is all. This is MVC, no MVT. So it's just a difference in. It's a, this is just a naming convention in the Django. So so yeah. So we have this controller function, and then we have we should use a we should map this function to a URL, right? So here we need first create a URL file. It doesn't generate initially. We have to create it. So we have to create this URL Python file. So then we have to import some classes. Yes. I'm going to import. I'm going to define the root path here. index, and we can give this path a name. So the benefit of this name is whenever we are in some in the HTML, if we doing a redirecting, if we redirect this, we can just use this name as a license as to this path. We don't have to use the extract path. So I'm going to index. You can just write a just index. It will redirect to this path. So mapping is done. And other thing, we need to import this URL file in the project root file, URL file in the project. So we will path. So, need to include this include. That's it. We run the server again. So that default page is disappear from here. You can just go. It says hello GU. So this is the minimum. This is the simplest possible view we can have here. So I will demonstrate it later. So now I'm going to move on the database layer. How to implement database layer? How do we manage database migrations in this Django framework? So I will going to demonstrate that. So, to do that, we need to go to settings file. Here you have databases. If you are using MySQL or Postgres or some other databases, you have to define the host and password and username here. But I'm here just for the convenient. I'm using the SQLite here, so I don't need to get an authorization and everything. I can do my demo easily. Yeah. So then so you can see we have here there are 18 unapplied migrations. So these are coming from the these apps. So these are default apps. When we are creating a Django project, it will get default. So there's been app and session management and message framework. These are content types and authentication app already there. So to do the migrations, I will first on the default database. Okay, so here you can see there is not no single table available here. So I'm going to run the migrate. So so here there's a so you can see all the databases uh, have created. So there is a convention for that. So usually it appends the app name and then the model name, the class name. That's how it goes. These all four belongs to authentication app, and these are related to Django admin interfaces on the content types. So now uh, I'm going to create new models for this our new directory app. So I will first for here for the demo I'm going to create one class called one table called company and employees. So it's a kind of one to many relationships between them. So to do that, I have to first import this model class here, and then I will create the. So this is like the inheritance. So in Python, so this is inheritance. It's like the argument to the class. So uh, I will define two properties. One is name. Its type is char. There's a what we call char field. So you can give max length. Yeah. Then I'll define the location as well. So location also a char field. The employees belonging to the to a company. So so I'm going to define the relationship here. So to do that, we have to import models, but we can define the foreign tree here. Range and then name. And join date. Okay. So so if you so the table is going to create with these names. So this that's a default configuration. If you want to change the table names, you need to define the name field here. So sharing. So that's it. So I have created the required model classes and to run the, but there are some other requirements here to run as like to run this generate this migration. You have to register this app in these settings file. So you need to import them. Here I'm going to import the app called directory. I have imported the newly created app here. It's like a registration. So now the project knows that there is a apps called directory. Okay. Then so now we have already created these model classes. So we need to generate the migration files. So to do that, we need to do by run this command. Make migrations. We need to give the directory name. Okay. So now you can see that it created the migration file called this initial. So if you go to this file and refresh it, so you can see so these files not still not in SQL. These are in high level form. So these are the new table we are going to create. So to run the migrations, we have to run this migrate command. Okay, you can see that these are applied. So if you go to the database, so you can see here these two tables have created. Okay. So that's how we manage those migrations and our database model in Django. So if you do some changes in here, on the make migration command again, it will detect all those changes and create a migration file according to that. This is like a code first approach. You can see here, and if you migrate, it will get applied. So that's it for the migrations. Now I'm going to demonstrate the admin panel. So there is a admin panel. To activate that, we need to create a admin user. Right. if we run the server again, so this is admin panel. This generate, so we can register the our apps, and this is we can modify this act, perform CRUD operations on the apps models. So to do that, the authentication authorization already registered. So I'm going to register our new app here. To do that, we need to go to this admin file, and we need to import our new model. And then register. Register. So I will import the employee. Okay. So now if we go and refresh this, so you can see here our new director got registered here, and we can add all those. We can do hard operations from here. So you can see these all the interfaces are automatically generated. So we can add the company here. Let's say Django. You can save it here. So you can see all these interfaces are automatically generated. Mm, and then security. So let me add another employee. So here you can see there's this showing as the employee object. That's because I didn't define those two string method here. Okay. Okay, so I got restart. If we yeah, you can see the name here. So that's the administrative panel. So then now I'm going to do the how we actually define that all the templates, the HTMLs. to do that, we need to create a new folder called templates here. And then in that we need to create this is the convention, another folder called app name. So here this is called directory. Mm, so in here I'm going to create a new file called index.html. So I'm going to use this example template here. Mm, list. I'm going to create a tag. Next. So this is how we write the template here. This is like recipe syntax. So I'm going to create a new view for this template. To do that, we need to import the module class here. Oops. To import the template, to do that, we need to use this loader class. Index.html. So I need to define those variables I'm going to define with the context of the variables I'm going to pass into the index HTML template file. So name and then I'm going to return this. Render this template. So this is import the models. Now that will work. So we get restart. So I can directly okay. So it's not important. So, attribute meta. Um, Sorry about this, guys. I never faced this. I never get this error message. I don't know exact reason for that. So it should get rendered. So I'm sorry about this, guys. Anybody there? Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. I don't know. So it should work. So I could find the exact reason for this. Maybe some might be in configurations. I never got this. So already time is up. So I will stop here. Uh, okay. Yes. Sorry about that. If you guys have any questions, ask. Answer.